A baby is staring at you, not blinking, not looking away. That gaze is locked onto your face with very strong intensity. This often makes adults feel slightly judged. Most people will laugh it off. Some people wave back. Some people make strange sounds hoping for a reaction. But developmental neuroscientists are different. They have spent the past 20 years studying exactly what happens inside a child's skull during those unblinking stares. What they found will change the way you see babies. It even changes the way we understand the nature of human consciousness. Let's start with the most common theory. Babies stare because their vision is still poor. The human face is simply the clearest thing near them. This sounds reasonable. Babies really do have limited vision, within a range of about 20 to 30 centimeters. This is exactly the distance from your arm to your face when you are holding the child. But this theory runs into a major problem at the 3-month mark. At this point, the baby has enough vision to observe anything present in the room. The child can completely look at the ceiling, look at the window, look at the dog, or look at the pile of clothes in the corner of the room. But the child still chooses your face. The child chooses it every time. This is not because vision is blurry. This is a clear preference. And when researchers investigated why, the data produced a result no one expected. In 2017, a research team at the University of Cambridge published a landmark study in the journal PNAS. This is one of the most prestigious scientific publications on the planet. They measured neural activity in both infants and adults during face-to-face interaction. They used a technique called functional near-infrared spectroscopy. The goal of the study was to look for brainwave synchronization between the two sides. The result they obtained surprised the entire field. When a baby locks eyes with you, the child's brainwaves begin to synchronize with your brainwaves. They run on the same frequency. They fluctuate in the same rhythm. Neural signals activate simultaneously across two completely separate brains. They tested the case of an adult looking away. The result was that no synchronization occurred. They continued testing with an expressionless, neutral face. The result was only partial synchronization. But mutual gaze, meaning direct eye contact, created the strongest neural connection ever recorded between two individuals of different ages. The child is not simply looking at you. The child is locking their developing brain onto your brain. The child uses your neural activity as a kind of scaffold, a template to build their own brain. That stare is the way human brains teach other human brains how to become truly human. But this has an even stranger aspect. Babies don't stare at everyone in exactly the same way. Researchers at Harvard Medical School carried out a very simple experiment. They let 3-month-old babies observe two faces. One was the face of a complete stranger. The other was the face of the primary caregiver. The result showed that the child looked longer at the stranger. This sounds counterintuitive, but cognitive science calls this the violation of expectation response. Babies will look longer at things they do not fully understand. The stranger, to the child, is a new puzzle, a data set that has not yet been processed. But with the caregiver's face, it is different. By the 3-month mark, the baby has accumulated thousands of hours processing this face. The child is familiar with every expression, every micro-movement, and every shift in your tone of voice. When looking at you, the child is not confused at all. The child is reading you. Researchers at the University of Washington discovered that, at the 5-month mark, babies can already distinguish between a genuine smile and a fake smile. By 6 months old, the child tracks your emotional state and uses it to decide how they should respond to the surrounding world. Developmental psychologists call this process social referencing. If your face shows fear, the child will freeze. If your face shows excitement, the child will actively reach for the object. If your face is calm, the child will confidently explore the environment. That long, unblinking stare is actually a process of data collection. The child is building a real-time emotional map based on your face. From that map, the child calibrates their own understanding of what is safe and what is dangerous. You are not simply a parent. You are the external portable hard drive of the child's entire nervous system. Now, let's talk about an experiment that once caused many intense ethical debates in the field of developmental psychology. It is called the still face paradigm, designed in 1975 by Dr. Edward Tronick at Harvard University. The setup of this experiment is very simple. In the first stage, a mother interacts completely normally with her young child. The mother smiles, talks, and responds to the child. The baby appears extremely happy, connected, staring up at the mother's face with absolute attention. Then, at the researcher's signal, the mother suddenly shifts into a completely blank state. It is a still face, without a single expression, without a single response. The mother's eyes remain open, but there is absolutely no emotion behind them. What happens next within the following 2 minutes is one of the most studied sequences of behavior in the entire history of developmental psychology. The child immediately notices the change. The child tries to reconnect with the mother. The child gives big smiles, points, and makes sounds. These are all the things that normally always work, but the response is still silence. The child begins trying even harder. The child uses bigger gestures, more urgent sounds. Still, there is absolutely no response. Within just 90 seconds, most infants begin to show clear physiological stress responses. The stress hormone cortisol spikes, heart rate rises. Some babies begin to scream. Other babies become dazed, withdrawing into a state of complete emotional shutdown to mirror the mother's emptiness. When the mother re-engages, recovery happens quickly but not immediately. This is what Dr. Tronick concluded after 2 decades of running this study. Babies are not passive recipients of care. The child is an extremely active participant in a continuous emotional conversation, and that conversation takes place almost entirely through the face. That stare is not simple admiration. It is also not confusion. It is communication at the most fundamental level. Your baby is talking to you with their own eyes, and the child needs you to talk back. There is an even deeper layer of meaning to this story that almost no one discusses outside academic circles. It relates directly to the structural structures that babies are actually building throughout that staring process, far beyond simple emotional attunement. Researchers at the Department of Brain and Cognitive Sciences at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have spent many years studying infant visual processing, and they made a discovery that changes everything we once knew about how human intelligence develops. The data shows that babies who receive more highly responsive face-to-face interaction during the first 6 months of life show measurably superior development in the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain responsible for planning, decision-making, emotional regulation, and complex social behaviors. It is the architectural structure of adult human cognition. Being stared at and staring back is literally building the hardware that will operate your child's mind for the rest of their life. Every time you hold your child's gaze, every time you mirror your child's expression, every time you respond to what you see in your child's eyes, you are not simply bonding emotionally. You are directly carrying out the construction work of your child's brain architecture. However, along with this comes a serious warning from neuroscientists. If you notice a baby who never stares at all, a child who constantly avoids eye contact, does not follow your face, and seems to look through you rather than at you, then that is absolutely not simply a quirky personality trait. Reduced or completely absent gaze behavior during infancy is one of the earliest observable signs that researchers associate with atypical social development. This does not mean that something is definitely wrong. Every baby develops according to their own timeline. However, pediatric neuroscientists state very clearly, early detection will completely change later outcomes. The plasticity and adaptability of the brain during the first 2 years of life are at their highest, and they will never reach that level again at any other time in life. A supportive intervention at the 6-month mark will bring superior results that an intervention at the 2-year mark cannot copy or reproduce at all. Therefore, if something about your child's stare, or the absence of that stare, makes your instinct feel that something is wrong, trust that instinct completely. You are the most precisely calibrated instrument in this world for reading your own child's face, because you have been doing that continuously since the first hour the child was born. So, the next time a baby locks their eyes onto you from across the room and keeps staring, always remember what is really happening in that moment. The child's brain is actively reaching out to connect directly with your brain. The child is using your face to learn how to become a human being, to learn how to feel, to learn how to understand what is safe and what is not, and to learn how to exist in a world full of other human beings around them. 15,000 years of human evolution was not an accident when it gave babies such big, round, and irresistible eyes. Those eyes are the most sophisticated social interface ever developed in all of natural history. And when a pair of eyes like that locks onto yours, the only right response is to stare back at the child. If these scientific facts have completely changed the way you see the children around your life, subscribe to the channel now and leave a comment below. Have you ever experienced a moment when a baby's stare made you immediately freeze? Because if the answer is yes, then now you understand exactly what happened in that moment. And if you want to understand why babies suddenly laugh at empty space, at corners with nothing there at 3 a.m., at something that seems only they can see, then that is exactly the content of the next video. And the evidence-based scientific knowledge behind that phenomenon is even stranger and more surprising than any explanation you have ever heard before.